Welcome to the DVD section of ChessBase Magazine 175. This time I want to deal with endgames from the Chess Olympiad in Baku, where many strong players from all over the world competed and created rich chess material, especially, of course, many fascinating endgames, and I was spoiled for choice and selected the following for this article. I want to start with rook endings, but not too many, as I have already dealt with rook endings in the last two issues. Mihna Abdullah, Germany, against the second team of Azerbaijan in the Women's Olympiad, black to move and draw. To defend actively with a rook or passively? And well, usually in rook endings, of course, you should play actively. But here, black should protect the 7th rank, but probably both players were already extremely short of time here. And then you grab the pawn and think activity is good and think only in such general terms and not in concrete variations. With more time, of course, it can also be calculated that this draws or the position is lost. But white cannot make real progress here due to the reduced winning potential. And otherwise, if after the try b6, black has again only one move, but king a6 suffices, and then it's a draw. In the game, black took, but now white is winning. But check has to be played, and whatever happens now, king c8, king b6, and white wins, because the rook, the knight's pawn. This is like a defense going with the king to the long side. The knight's pawn has no short side, so white always wins. This kind of theory you should know. And here white reaches Vankura's win, rook e8 check, king a7, and then reaching Vankura, this theoretical procedure. It's good to know this in advance. Otherwise, please study the theoretical rook endings again. And king b8 also loses. If black could now play rook c8, it would be a draw even without the a-pawn, but as matters are, white always wins. But in the game, b6 followed, and now it is drawn again after king b8. And then the rook can come back in time, and passive defense holds against the knight's pawn, as there is no file left to the a file. If it would be a c-pawn and the a-pawn didn't exist and so on, then this would be winning, but with the knight's pawn, this is a draw by passive defense. While in the game, after king c8, white gained one all-important tempo and won after some further moves. Shokri Wanyama, Morocco, Uganda, is very deep. Rook d1 draws, but very deep. So I want to follow the game because I like a lot white's winning procedure. This is the reason why I selected the game. Here white always wins. And I especially like the following maneuver by Adel Shokri. Check. And rook f3, very strong. And whatever happens, white wins, because here the resulting pawn endings are won. This is a point I liked and why I selected the example. And now white wins the opposition in the fight for the key squares for white's king. Then next penetrates onto a key square, then wins the g-pawn, and then wins the game after some further moves. How to defend in Wong, Alkseed, Hong Kong, Palau. To play rook h2, rook e2, rook to the queen side, rook to g1, whatever. What is the only move? The only move is rook h2. Of course, without a computer it would still be not so clear that it really holds, because again it will result in some close races, but rook h2 gives black enough counterplay to draw in time. While I like the continuation why rook e2 loses, this is the reason why I selected the example. check, and undermining the chain, and then going to, either winning with the two connected pawns or going to A1 pawn ending. Good technique by Brian Wong. And the F pawn will queen and gaining time with check when marching forward, and so black resigned. The next example was sent to me by Rennie Kalmer, Stella Riva Aguado, Wesley So, Andorra, United States. The States won in the end, the Olympiad, so congratulations to the team. White can draw here by two moves, King G2 or Rook G2, but I like the reason why King F3 is wrong, and this is the reason why I included it. Taking, and D5, and now black gets an outside passed B-pawn, and this often is a very strong trump in pawn endings. White's king has to deal with the B-pawn personally. This gives black's king the chance to win white's queenside pawns, and then the last pawn wins, so Wesley so converted after some further moves. Chimbamu, Hesham, Zimbabwe, Egypt, black to move and win. Well, one example of the bishop pair is that you can often trade them easier, and this is an improved pawn ending in some way, and black won with the queenside majority. Irvanto, McShane, Indonesia, England, white to move and win. Okay, queen takes G6 would lead to a table base win, but in human play it wouldn't be a very practical decision to stay in the queen endgame. Queen D3 is much better technique, because here black has the opposition here, but it's not about opposition, because white can go to the king side, and there has king G4, and then white has enough spare temp. He can win the fight first here with king G4, because king G6 is plainly impossible, and then white's king can advance due to the spare tempi of white's G-pawn, and Irvanto won after some further moves against an extremely strong English super grandmaster Luke McShane. So this was a very strong performance by Sadikin Irvanto. Geljeva Schweiger, Turkmenistan, Israel, black to move and win. Okay, here are many solutions, so let's go ahead. But I like the solution, but black had to see in this moment, what defense? Rook H4. Oh, excuse me, this was the wrong arrow key. I will go back. Rook H4. This had to be seen in advance, and now black wins with taking. Only winning move, king G6. Only winning move, H3. Because white's king cannot move into the square of the H-pawn, so the H-pawn will queen, while black's king is still in the square of white's D5 pawn, and so black's king will stop the pawns, and so white resigned. But Schweiger had to see this through to the end. In Deak, Cordery, Romania, South Africa, I found fascinating that white always wins now, despite the fact that black has only the two weaknesses, but here they are sufficient. And one point is that the following pawn endgame is won. Okay, counterplay must be stopped, and now white must go to the pawn ending, but it is won due to opposition. Only winning move, king e4, and then white wins one of the black pawns first, and the game later, which was the case after some further moves. Tor Steinson Chavez, Faroe Island, El Salvador, white to move and win. The pawn ending is winning, but you must, of course, this is not so easy to calculate. A5, but the more difficult part, of course, is to see that really white always wins, as white's queenside majority is much more dangerous than black's central majority. But I'm sure that Tor Steinson has calculated many lines here further before going to the pawn game. It feels good, but concrete calculation is better, of course. While in Franciscovich, Havlíková, Croatia, Czech Republic, black played. And here, not so much concrete calculation is needed, just a few further moves. Okay, white must deal with, can play the check or not, then must deal with h-pawn, and only now calculate that black's counterplay is always too slow, as black's c-pawn is queening, that's clear, and it was only necessary to see that the counterplay is too slow. And so Havlíková won. But it doesn't always work like this. The isolated passed pawns do not always win. Longson Hapala. Was knight takes e5 a good choice, or should white keep the position with king f3 or such a move? Yeah, white should play, for example, king f3, and then the position objectively should be equal. Because this is a combination which leads to a black win. King f6 would indeed be losing for black, taking on e5, taking on h4, and then the outside passed h-pawns would win. But king g6 turns the tables around. And now black's connectors win. Because they can protect each other, while the two isolated white pawns will fall prey to black's active king. And whatever happens, black wins, for example, this line, and here can be seen that black's king is in the square of the h-pawn and black wins. So whatever happens, black is winning, which was also the result of the game. So with the isolated passed pawns must be far away from each other so that they can queen, like in the previous example, or at least they must be able to protect each other, then it might be a draw. In some very seldom cases, of course, the connectors can also win, but they must be very, very far advanced and very dangerous. Now here, the advantage of the connectors is just that they can protect each other. And white's isolated passed pawns cannot do it, and black's king can win them one after another. Mechedishvili win, Georgia, Myanmar, black to move and draw. In pawn endings, there are two things. Concrete calculations, as we have already seen, can often be done very deeply, as there are not so many candidate moves. But of course also knowledge. And here knowledge would do. Here are the key squares. If white's king reaches them, white wins. So this is the major line, and it's about opposition in that direction. So what is the only move which allows black's king to keep the opposition against the advancing white's king? Only move is king h7, and then Wun defended the opposition through to the end and drew. While Yamada Gledura, of course, is a calculation case. Here there is no theory from which the moves can be derived. It must be calculated. It's dynamically balanced, but shall white play f4 or e5 check? e5 check is right. And gaining more space, and then the position is dynamically balanced. White will always be able to drum up enough counterplay on the king side with more space. But this is very important, because f4 loses due to h5. And now white has no dangerous breaks, cannot mobilize a majority easily. The majority is somehow crippled now, while black can win slowly and surely, and Gledura converted after some further moves. But this clearly is a calculation example, and more calculation, of course, is needed over the board. Just due to the space and time limitations of this video format, I don't go into the details, but on the DVD they are, and here in the file they are given. Now black always wins, as white's majority is crippled, and no strong, quick breakthroughs are possible. In Shankland, the Turaman, USA, India, how to deal with the discovered check king h3. Bishop g5 would still have defended, because here the e3 and the c3 are hanging, white's pieces are in each other's way, and now theoretically it is a draw. But in the game, after king f8, white wins. It found it a bit surprising at first, but the deeper I went into it, the clearer it became that Shankland's position now is always winning. His king is active and will invade, and black has no real defense against that. And black's king is not only passive, but also an object of attack. Sometimes even mate is possible. Sometimes a check by black's queen can be met by a counter check. So white is always winning. Now, if you don't believe it, then please convince yourself with a more detailed analysis and look. Bartel, Anton Guarros, Poland, Spain. Also, it's not easy. White must be winning and is winning. But maybe white has to give the A pawn in some moment. White can also start with queen b5. This wins as well. Would be another technique. Bartel's procedure is okay. But now a lot of precision is required, of course, to convert. Okay, first improving the queen. Now the queen is optimal. If this doesn't work, then maybe, yeah, it wasn't good to give the A pawn so early. But here, king c5 or king b5? King b5 is right, because the queen needs the c5 square in a crucial line. And here queen c5 and white wins. After king c5, it's a draw. Now black cannot be driven out of its strong position, and d2, d1 is too strong a threat to ignore or to be quick enough against. Okay, queen c6 check must be parried, but it's a draw, objectively. So Bartel went back to the blockading square. But how to draw with black? Rook d5 check. White's king must be driven away to a worse position, and only now, now again rook d5, and now white can release, but it doesn't help. Now it's a draw. But after rook d6, it was won again. Now the queen can come, and this always wins. Now the king can use this important c5 square. The rook is driven away. Yeah, and now somehow white can use the lack of coordination by bringing the queen to the d5 to d3 or wherever. And if the king is on a bad square, of course. This is an important requirement. And then white wins the d pawn first, and then the game later, but also study the conversion of the queen against rook, ending by the good technique by Matusz Bartel. Yeah, and one last example on the configuration queen and rook against queen and rook, which is a middle game or an end game. Yeah, white, Shahriar Mamedyanov against Pentala Hari Krishna, Azerbaijan, India, should play e3. And then it's not so clear. Black, of course, is clearly better due to the strong passed c-pawn, but it's not so easy to convert it due to white's activity. While rook a7 was too optimistic or a miscalculation by Shahriar Mamedyanov, because now after d4, white must go to an endgame. Either a queen endgame or a rook endgame, doesn't matter, but black always wins the endgames due to the passed c3 pawn, which in the endgame is a very, very big trump. While in the middle game configuration, it would be a trump, but it wouldn't be so clear. Yeah. And whatever happens, queen takes e5 gets a losing queen endgame, and queen takes d4 gets a losing rook endgame due to the c-pawn. And the last move of the game was rook d1, and now black will either win the rook or the b3 pawn, and then win with the two connected passed pawns, which are very far advanced. Yeah, due to the space and time limitations in this video format, I had to delete the text annotations and could only mention the highlights or the reasons why I chose the games or the points which I found most interesting or instructive. Yeah, if I whetted your appetite, then maybe you should look at the details in the article on the DVD. And I wish you a lot of fun with them.